Today, we're diving into James Clear's Atomic Habits, a book all about the tiny, almost invisible forces that literally shape our entire lives.
So have you ever wondered why your New Year's resolutions are basically dust by February? You know that feeling, right? You're all in, you've got the motivation, and then it just fades. You're putting in the work, but you don't see the results, so you just stop. Well, Atomic Habits has an answer, and it's probably not what you think. The book argues that the problem isn't you. It's not a motivation, it's not a lack of willpower. The problem is your system.
And this right here is the core idea. It flips everything we've been taught about success completely on its head. We're always told, dream big, set huge goals. But Clear's point is fascinating. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. So what's the real difference? It's the system. It's what you do every single day.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why goals just aren't enough. Then we'll get into the incredible power of tiny gains. After that, we'll break down the 4 laws of change for building good habits and, you guessed it, how to flip them to break the bad ones. And we'll wrap up with maybe the most powerful idea of all, how your habits actually shape who you are.
All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, why goals aren't enough. We're going to challenge this idea that setting massive goals is the only way to get things done. Turns out that approach has some serious weak spots.
Just think about it for a second. Every single athlete at the Olympics wants to win that gold medal, right? Every startup founder wants to build a billion-dollar company. So if everyone at the top and everyone who doesn't make it has the same goal, well then the goal itself can't possibly be the thing that makes the difference.
And that's where the system comes in. This is the difference between focusing on the outcome versus focusing on the process. The goal is just that one moment in time. The system, that's what you do day in and day out. For a marathoner, their system is their training schedule. For a writer, it's that daily habit of sitting down to write. The real secret here is to fall in love with the process itself, not just the end prize.
So this leads us right into the heart of the book, the idea of atomic habits. You know, like an atom, small, but the fundamental building block of everything? These are the tiny little changes that feel like nothing in the moment, but over time they compound into something absolutely incredible.
It all starts with this number, 1%. Just 1%. I want you to imagine getting just 1% better at something, anything, every single day. I mean, it's so small you'd barely even notice it. Like doing one push-up, reading one page of a book, meditating for just 1 minute. It feels like it doesn't even count, right?
Wrong. This is where it gets absolutely wild. That tiny 1% improvement, when you compound it every day for a year, it doesn't just make you a little better. The math is insane. It makes you nearly 37 times better. That's not a typo, 37 times. This is literally the compound interest of self-improvement, and it is a total game changer.
But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. In the beginning, you won't see any of this progress. It's totally invisible. You're putting in all this effort, and it feels like nothing is changing. This is that frustrating gap, that valley of disappointment that James Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. And honestly, this is where most of us give up.
Clear uses this perfect metaphor to explain it. Think of an ice cube in a freezing cold room. You start to raise the temperature. 26 degrees, 27, 28, nothing happens. 30, 31, still just a block of ice. It feels like your effort isn't working. But all that energy is being stored up. And then at 32 degrees, bam, the breakthrough happens. The ice starts to melt. All your effort, all those 1% gains, they're just like that. They're not wasted. They're building up, storing energy for that inevitable breakthrough.
Okay, so how do we actually build systems that can get us through that frustrating plateau? Well, this is where Clear gives us a really simple, super practical framework, the 4 laws of change. Before we get to the laws, you gotta understand the habit loop. See, every single habit you have, good or bad, follows this exact 4-step pattern in your brain. First, there's a cue, which triggers a craving. That craving motivates a response, which then gives you a reward. The key to changing your habits is just to hijack each stage of this loop.
And this is exactly how we do it. Clear gives us 4 simple laws, one for each part of that loop. If you want to build a good habit, you just have to, number 1, make it obvious, 2, make it attractive, 3, make it easy, and 4, make it satisfying. See? It's not about grinding it out with sheer willpower, it's about designing your environment so that the good habit is the easiest, most obvious choice.
Now, what's so cool about this framework is that it works just as well in reverse. So if you want to get rid of a bad habit, you don't need some new, complicated system. You just flip the laws on their head.
The logic here is just so elegant. To break a bad habit, you invert every single law. So instead of making it obvious, you make it invisible. Instead of attractive, make it unattractive. Instead of easy, make it difficult. And instead of satisfying, you make it unsatisfying. So instead of trying to use discipline to avoid eating junk food, just make it difficult. Don't even keep it in the house. Your system does all the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, so all of these laws, these systems, these tiny habits, they all lead to what I think is the deepest, most powerful idea in the entire book. This is where we stop talking about just what you do and start talking about who you are. I want you to really let this one sink in for a second. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every single tiny action, reading just one page, doing one push-up, saving $1, you're casting a vote. It's a little piece of evidence you're giving yourself about your own identity. And over time, those votes add up, and they shape your entire self-image.
Because here's the thing. True, lasting change isn't really about the outcomes. It's not about crossing some finish line or hitting a number on a scale.
It's about becoming someone. It's about identity. The real goal, the ultimate goal, is to align your habits with the person you want to be. Because when you do that, you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're just being yourself.
Think of it this way. The goal isn't just to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. The goal isn't just to write a book, it's to become a writer. The goal isn't to learn an instrument, it's to become a musician. See the difference? When your identity is that of a runner, you don't have to force yourself to go for a run. It's just what you do. It's who you are. The identity drives the behavior, almost effortlessly.
So in the end, your habits are really just the tangible proof of who you are. They are the daily practice of your identity. You literally become your habits, one tiny action at a time.
So the question I want to leave you with isn't, what's your next big goal? No, it's something much smaller and way more powerful.